2023 basketball prospect Dennis Evans could be a monster for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We're going to talk about what it could be like if he makes the official commitment. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers.
Hey, you are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week. Now, we've been talking a whole lot about football, but today we're talking a little bit of Gophers men's basketball. And we're going to talk about the highly touted Dennis Evans, who is heavily considering the Minnesota Golden Gophers. But first, please be sure to subscribe on YouTube. We're building the community. I'm getting some more ideas on how we can spice this thing up a little bit, and you're going to want to be tuned in for the action each and every day of the week. So hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you're enjoying. I appreciated the comments on yesterday's show about what people are liking, and I would love to your feedback. Getting more of that, what you want to hear, what you want to talk about, what you want to know. This is the show where we always continue to grow. Find us at Locked On Golden Gophers wherever you get podcasts. Now let's jump in. We're talking about Dennis Evans today, and he could be program changing. That is how big of a prospect he could be for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Now let's talk about a little bit of background about him as a prospect before we dive into the possibilities. But first, if you haven't listened to any of the podcasts that we've discussed about him, then here's a little bit of information for you. So he is a center, a prospect, a center from California, 7'1", 210 pounds, the number 4 center in the nation when it comes to the class of 2023, and the number 7 recruit out of the state of California. Now, he was formerly the number 16 player in the entire nation, so the ranking has dipped slightly, but the rankings are so subjective that just know he is a top 30 recruit who has 5-star potential, and he is a dude. He is a hard worker, he is a dog, a grinder, and he is exciting. Now, recent adjustments, like I said, have put him out of that 5-star range. He was formerly a 5-star recruit, but I wouldn't get too much into the star watching. We don't do that too much here at Locked On Golden Gophers. We'll talk about it a little bit, but that isn't how you evaluate a prospect or a heavily recruited player. You can't just star watch. So he is considering TCU, the Minnesota Gophers, and Kansas Jayhawks. Those seem to be the top 3 schools in his consideration, but it seems like TCU and Minnesota are actually the heavy favorites there. Now, before you're like, no, I've heard this story before, like Kansas always gets the top recruits. They just won a national title. He's not coming here. Slow the roll. I do honestly believe we have a rock solid chance at Dennis Evans wanting to come here. Now, I tweeted it out before, but in case you didn't see my tweets, which you should be following, but he's very interested in the Gophers program, and he's interested in being a part of a program that is family-oriented, family-based, somewhere where he can grow and become the best basketball player. He's not about being on the best team. He wants to be the best player that he can be. And that's 1,000% what Coach Johnson has been bringing to this program, is that family aspect. He's building the atmosphere here, the culture here, and even the actual phrase, which is embedded in the program right now, of CTF, which is committed to family. So we're right there. The culture is there. The environment that he wants to be a part of is right there. Now, on top of it, he is best friends and a former AAU teammate with true freshman in this year's 2022 class, Jaden Henley, who is on the Gophers roster. And that connection could be the bit that maybe puts us over the top in the long scheme of things. Now, he has great relationships with the coaches at TCU, and he has great relationships with the coaches at the Gophers. I imagine both have similar vibes if he is so heavily considering them as far as the family aspect, but they don't have his best friend on the roster whom he's played with since the 6th and 7th grade. Now, that could be a factor that truly helps out the Gophers in pushing it, elevating it a little bit more, and having more incentive to come here if he loves the vibe, if he loves the relationships, and he gets to play with his best friend. Who wouldn't want to do that? Who would not want to do that and spend your college years with a guy that you already have a bond with on and off the court, and you've already developed with, you've already worked with, you've already grinded with, you've put in the extra hours with? That is a small thing, but it could be a big thing. Now, the final part in reasoning that I do think we are considered is that great relationship that I had mentioned that he has with the coaches. I misspoke in my tweet that I put out there, but it's Coach Johnson and Coach Jenkins that have really phenomenal relationships with Dennis Evans, and it's continually growing. In fact, Coach Johnson and Coach Jenkins were just out this past week in California, meeting up with Dennis Evans, checking him out, and we were also his first high major offer, and we've been there from the start. That goes a long way for some guys. That true, like, we're not just joining late in the game because, like, we actually have developed that frame of relationship, that trust, that bond. And so that's something to take into consideration. Those three factors put together give us a rock solid chance. But enough about the prospect. Let's talk about Evans, the player, and why he could bring something special to this program that we haven't seen in quite some time. That's what we're going to talk about next. But I have to tell you, and I know I've told you once, I've told you twice, I've told you 100 times, but you need to check out BetOnline when it comes to finding the latest trends in action, getting the latest numbers, money lines, odds, props, you name it, you can find it at BetOnline. If you're ever wondering what the spread is, what does it look like as far as matchups, and sometimes you can guess on how close a game is going to be by looking at those point spreads. You can find all that information at BetOnline, and it's not just for college sports, it's not just for college football, it's for any sport that you can think of. They have been working their tails off to get all of those lines, odds, and props on their site for you. They also have casino games online, or virtual casino, esports, live betting, you name it. So be sure to check out BetOnline where the game starts. All right, so we're going to dive into Dennis Evans, the player, his play style, and that's what we're going to dive into. But thank you so much for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen when it comes to Gophers sports. Your first listen, that's daily Gophers talk, Monday through Friday. And if you're only tuning in one day a week, folks, let me tell you, you're behind the eight ball. We've got talks for you each and every day of the week. I try to keep these things about 20 to 30 minutes. That's where I try to keep that sweet spot in there and have good information for you. And if you're not hearing enough about what you want to hear about, you just got to drop a comment down below and we'll fix that. We'll get it started. We'll get it going. And it's for you. It's for you, the Gophers fans that are heavily underrated and one of the best sporting fandoms in the nation. Hands down, bar none. You've gone through your suffering, you've gone through your lumps, and it's a great time to be a Gopher fan right now for the basketball programs that are both on the rebuild and on the rise, for the football program that is on the rise, for the hockey programs that are on the rise and contending. Like, it's a great time to be a Gopher fan, and this is the show for you. So tell a friend. Tell a friend, but let's get back to Dennis Evans, the player. Now, first off, Dennis Evans is a staunch defender, and that is a major key in his game. He controls the interior, he controls the paint, and there are no easy buckets from the inside. He has a massive wingspan of 7'7", and that's not only for length, but presence and for blocking shots and rim protection. His head coach was interviewed by 247, Ryan James over at 247, who knows all things Golden Gophers basketball, all things prospects. If you don't follow him, you have to. Like, come on now. But Ryan did an interview with his coach, and his coach said that he is an elite defender, A-plus player on that end of the court. Now, on the flip side for offense, his coach gave him a B- right now. A B- on the offensive end, but he's rapidly improving. He's working on his three-point shot. He's working on being able to put the ball on the floor. And from what I've seen in huddle tape, in highlights, in the brief amount of film that I've been able to find for Dennis Evans, he is great in the transition game. He can run the floor. He easily can catch alley-oops. So it's exciting. He's great in transition game and an interior presence on the defensive end. Now, Oop City. Think about the alley-oops that could come next season with Talon Cooper and Dennis Evans. I'm excited. I'm excited right now. Just thinking about that moment. So hopefully, it can happen. But the thing that stands out most about what his head coach said in that interview was about both Jaden Henley and Dennis Evans. And that was the fact that he said their work ethic is unmatched. Music to your ears as a fan of the sport. He's waking up and getting in the gym at 5 a.m. He's staying late and staying in the gym till midnight. In fact, the coach even flat out said he knows that that's happening with Henley in Minnesota right now, and mentioned that Jaden Henley will go to a football game and then he'll go to the gym. Or he'll FaceTime him from the courts in Dinkytown at midnight. Like, the kid is grinding, working, and that's what he's always done. He's coached him since the 6th, 7th grade. And that's what he's done. And he said Dennis Evans is the exact same type of way. He's built the same way. And he also mentioned that he doesn't have the distractions. He doesn't have the want to be going out there and partying, the want to be heavily involved in social media. He just wants to ball. He just wants to hoop. He just wants to play. And the drive never settles. And that's for both Henley and Evans. I don't know what more you can ask for. I don't know how you could get more excited for someone that is so committed to the game and knows the potential that they have and knows what they can do. They just want to work for it. You don't find that too often. I mean, you can think that most athletes do that, but a lot of college athletes get caught up in the drama, get caught up in not even the drama, but just the little things, social media. They get caught up in wanting to party, wanting to experience college, but it just seems like something's different with these two guys. It seems like something is way different and that they know they can make something special with this game of basketball. And that makes me hope for this pairing even more. And it leads to my final point about how Dennis Evans could bring something special here in Minnesota that we haven't seen in a long while. And we're going to talk about that coming up next. All right, so the wait is over. We're talking about what that special something that Dennis Evans could bring that we haven't seen from the Gophers program in a hot minute. What can make him so special and why it matters for the future is that Dennis Evans could be the prospect that could do something only two Gophers have done since the year 2000. That's 22 years. Only two Gophers, basketball players, have done it. And that is be a game-changing rim protector that's averaging 3+ blocks a game. Now, 3+ blocks a game, some people are like, whoa, like that doesn't seem like so much. That is a ton of blocks. You're playing 30, 35 games a year, and you're getting 3+. So You're averaging 3+ blocks a game. That's nearly 100 blocks or more in a season, in one season. That is presence. That's shot changing. It's extremely effective. And that's something that he can bring. The only Gophers to do that since the year 2000 are Joey Przybilla from the 99-2000 season, where he averaged 3.9 blocks, and then Reggie Lynch. He did it twice in the 2016-2017 season, where he averaged 3.5 blocks, and then the 17-18 season, where he averaged 4.1 blocks a game. That is the tier that Dennis Evans could be in when it comes to rim protection and shot blocking, and that is special in and of itself. But he also could be a guy that as he progresses, as he works his tail off, as he puts in the extra work, he could be a double-digit scorer and a double-digit rebounder. And we haven't had too many of those as the Gophers fans either. In fact, we've had 4 since the year 2000. That's elite company. Those 4 players are Daniel Oturu, who got 20 points a game, 11 rebounds a game. Jordan Murphy, who had 14 and 11, and then had a different season with 16 and 11. Trevor Mbakwe, who had 13 and 10, and then Chris Humphreys, who had 21 and 10. That's the company he would keep here. Multiple of those guys played in the league for a bit, or are still in the league, hanging around. That is the company that this kid could be in. The upside is there. The work ethic is there. And he would be one of the most talented prospects to ever commit to the Gophers if he made the commitment. And then you talk about, on top of that, playing with Jaden Henley, who he's already had that development and that relationship with, that can push each other, that can build the chemistry here with the team, that can hopefully build in with these other younger guys that Jaden Henley is already out here working with. That's what we're talking about him doing. Building that type of chemistry, that commitment to family, that something special that gets a program jump-started and getting other recruits excited and getting guys to the league and getting guys wanting to come here. That's what could happen with one more commit in Dennis Evans. This is getting hopes up. This could end poorly if he didn't come here, but that is why you can at least, fingers crossed, hold your breath and hope that this actually happens. The mindset of this kid is different. The fact that he is a player that played, he had a ton of prep school offers, got the schools that go out there and basically recruit high school kids to come play and be on the best teams and travel the entire world and be one of the best teams in the country and get all these scouts' eyes on them. He could have played for tons of those teams, and he said no. He wanted to play for his high school. He loves his high school, and he didn't understand why people thought he should go on to be on some loaded team. That should be music to your ears, Gophers fans. He doesn't need to be on the loaded UNCs, the loaded Dukes, the loaded Kansases. He felt he wouldn't get a great chance to grow in that type of environment. But where he could grow is somewhere that has a commitment to family, somewhere that has the chemistry with the best friend, somewhere where he has relationships with the coaches, and he's buying in to what the coaches are saying because they're holding true to their word. See, that's another thing Jaden Henley brings, is the fact that he's already immersed in the program, reporting back to his friend Dennis Evans and saying everything Coach Johnson told me, he's legit. He's not lying. He's not just speaking words. He's done what he's said to me. He's done what he promised to me in the recruitment period. And that's just so far. The season hasn't even started yet for him. Having that type of trust, having that type of comfort in knowing it's true, that's something a lot of other programs can't offer. And that's why I think that you can get your hopes up a little bit on this one and have your fingers crossed, do a little lucky underwear, whatever you got going on. But hopefully Dennis Evans comes this way, and hopefully he can be one of the most talented prospects that the Gophers have ever had commit. In fact, he would be the 3rd highest commit that the Gophers have ever received, behind Chris Humphreys, behind Royce White, ahead of Daniel Oturu, and ahead of Amir Coffey. Dennis Evans could be special. that's going to do it for us on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. Hopefully, we are going to be able to talk predictions with Tristan tomorrow. Our schedules got a little wonked up, but we'll get it covered and we'll make it happen. I appreciate you. This is Kane Rob signing off. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow the podcast wherever you get them. I'm going to let you go. Row the boat, Sky you man. Go Gophers.